Before I share my thoughts with you about what is presently occurring in the world from a spiritual perspective, I did want to preface my statements by saying that I am by no means attempting to minimize or trivialize what is occurring for us all. I am by no means attempting to downplay the severity of the current crisis and the tragic losses that so many people worldwide have experienced. I have seen people more or less dividing into two different camps when it comes to their perceptions of what is happening for us. I have seen people who are motivated by extreme fear and anxiety, and those are the people who are in a constant state of worry and hypervigilance. Perhaps they're losing sleep. Worst of all, perhaps they are communicating their worries and venting their anxieties in front of their children or their grandchildren, and so that is serving to just heighten the general anxiety in the household or across families in particular. And I'm very concerned that those are the folks who are compromising their very immune system for being so anxious and fearful. I think that it is predisposing them to being very vulnerable to becoming ill, not necessarily with coronavirus, but with any number of maladies and illnesses. On the other hand, I am seeing people who are accepting what is occurring for us as something of a challenge to us all, and they are approaching it in a manner that I think is very noble and very commendable, in that they have become very ingenious, very creative. I'm seeing people who are being very proactive and very positive about all of this that we are all experiencing, because the amazing thing about it is that we as humankind are experiencing this collectively and globally, worldwide. This is happening and affecting us all. So I just want to spend a moment speaking to all of that, and how perhaps if we are able to put on new lenses and to view what is occurring for us all through spiritual glasses, in the grand scheme of the big picture, perhaps there is purpose to all of this, and perhaps there is silver lining, or silver linings plural, to what may come of this. Again, I know that people are very ill, people are dying, people are affected by this financially, myself included. I had appointments and events booked out 3 months, and all of that, of course, has been canceled or postponed. So I'm enduring it all as well, just like everyone else watching. And I just wanted to offer an alternative perspective by which to view what may be occurring for us all collectively as human beings. And I think it really speaks a lot to our character, for our ability to rise together as one to meet this and to face this together. I don't think that we have experienced anything quite like it since World War II. So that's going back many decades. And if you'll recall, that generation has been called the greatest generation for pulling together and for uniting and for feeling a sense of community in banding together and being very conscious and very mindful and aware. But I have been telling people that, in my opinion and in my experience, this feels very much like God has pressed a reset button. And from a global and environmental perspective, the planet has been given a chance to breathe. Most industry around the world has been put on pause, and so there are no or fewer toxins that are being released into the environment. And The environment and the wildlife and the marine life are all being given the respite of the opportunity to recuperate a little bit. So I think that's been much needed for quite some time. So I'm really glad to see that taking place. You have to remember this is all temporary. We will get through this. It is all temporary. As I said, I'm also seeing people being very creative and very ingenious. We're very fortunate to be living through this in an era in which we have technology. We have virtual technology, so that even though we are quarantined or sheltering at home, we have the opportunity beyond the telephone to be reaching out to people and to be connecting to people in groups by virtue of the internet and various platforms that we can be reaching out to folks. So I have seen tremendous creativity and ingenuity displayed by people who are entertaining us with their music, with their humor, with slices of their family life. You know, people are eating meals together, which maybe hasn't happened in quite some time. People are playing games indoors that perhaps hasn't happened in quite some time. You know, there are positive things, there are good things that are coming of this. In my own neighborhood, I have seen people really step up and be good companions and good resources to one another. One family has been calling an ice cream truck to come through the community every other week as a special treat for us all. One neighbor is putting out a sort of a care package treasure hunt box for the neighborhood kids every morning because they're all home, of course, and I understand their schooling online doesn't last very long, so people are just really coming together. You know, the crime rate has dropped dramatically for the most part. With fewer cars on the highway, there have been greatly fewer car accidents and tragedies for people passing in collisions and so on. You know, when was the last time we heard about a mass shooting? When was the last time we heard about a school shooting? It's as if something greater than we are has set a precedent and is encouraging us to take a step back and to reflect on what matters and what is truly important. And families are communicating with one another perhaps more than ever before. I'm actually seeing fathers outdoors during the day because everyone or most people are off work, and they are playing outdoors with their own children, which I've never seen before. During the week, certainly. Haven't seen that. A couple of weeks ago, I was at the grocery store, and the gal who was my cashier at the checkout was visibly upset. And she said, I lived through 9/11 in New York, and she said, this feels so much like that. And she says, I'm just very anxious, very afraid. And I said, God's got our back. God's got our back. This is all temporary, and this is a wake-up call, and this is not a punishment. This is not a punishment. This is an opportunity. And I think that we will all be better for it. And, you know, people are planting gardens, you know, just like the Victory Gardens during World War II. People are being very mindful of rationing and not squandering or wasting. And folks are really stepping up and rising to the occasion and being good citizens and good members of the community. And I have not allowed myself psychically to project any predictions for where this is all heading. I have been doing some private online work with folks, and just yesterday I did a session where a gal's grandfather came through loud and clear, and he said, I know you don't want to talk about this, but he did go into some detail about where this is heading. As I'm recording this, we're in early April 2020, and he was saying the worst of it should be behind us by June, July, of this year. And by October, November, things should be back to some normalcy. But he was also indicating that there would be great revisions to our government and to the ways in which we do business, and great revisions to people being more conscious and aware of one another. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. So I just wanted to offer that perspective and to share that perhaps, again, this is not a global punishment. If we can view it through spiritual lenses, perhaps there is an opportunity here, and maybe just perhaps this is one antidote to serve to heal what ails the world. So I wanted to share that with you, and I would welcome your thoughts and your insights as well. Thank you.